Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everybody. We are so pleased you could join us today for the virtual 2021 Internet Hall of Fame ceremony. With all the time zones out there, we know it took effort and coordination to attend, and we couldn't be happier to see you all here with us today to honor and celebrate those people whose contributions to the internet have changed the path for the betterment of humankind. I want to acknowledge all our live stream viewers joining us today, wherever you are. We do want to interact with you throughout this ceremony, so please do use the chat for any questions or comments throughout. We have a very capable team of people who are primed and ready to engage with you there. For those of you who don't know me, my name is James Wood. I'm Head of Content Communications at the Internet Society. Since 2017, every 2 years, I've had the privilege of hosting these ceremonies. And while this year's may look different, we are still together in spirit to acknowledge the work and dedication that has gone into growing and protecting the internet. I'm very happy to be part of this amazing ceremony and to wear my Internet Hall of Fame badge. The Internet Hall of Fame showcases the innovation, creative vision, pure optimism of pioneers, entrepreneurs, and trailblazers who have helped define our internet today. Started in 2012, it is based on an inherent belief that the internet can and should benefit people everywhere, regardless of location, socioeconomic status, race, gender, or any other difference among us. We come together today to honor those who have led the way in connecting our world through this network of networks, unlocking the internet's true potential as a change agent for good across the globe. This year's event marks the first time we have awarded this honor to individuals posthumously. We have 4 inductee pioneers who dedicated their time to the benefit of society through the internet, and we are humbled to be able to honor them today. This event also marks the first time we gather together virtually, and we are proud to have been part of the development of such a tool that makes this possible. The visionaries being inducted have contributed significantly to the internet's inception, evolution, and global growth. So as you join with us here today, let's open the floodgates of communication across our various countries by posting with the hashtag IHOF2021. You never know, if we all join together, maybe we could even get that hashtag trending on social media by the time this ceremony is over. Please let the world know how strong and optimistic we feel about the internet, where it has been and where it is going, because good news and achievements like this should never go unnoticed. On that note, I would like to introduce the Internet Society's President and CEO, Andrew Sullivan, just to say a few words. Andrew.
James, dear friends and colleagues, thank you for joining us here today. The Internet Hall of Fame is now in its 10th year, and it recognizes the people worldwide who played an extraordinary role in conceptualizing, developing, and building the internet. New inductees are chosen from among nominations by the advisory board, who are all prior inductees. I want to thank those with us today, because there are several who have joined us. Now I have to look up the list. Here we are. Yvonne Marie Andres, Kilnam Chon, Elise Garrick, Demi Geshko, Shigeki Goto, Stephen Huter, Paul Makapetris, Tracy LeQuay Parker, Jean Amor-Polly, Glenn Rickert, Douglas von Howling, Paul Vixie, and Klaus Vieringa. I want to acknowledge Luis Martinez and George Sadowski, Internet Society trustees, who are here today as well. Now, the internet is, of course, a global technical infrastructure, but in this era of COVID-19, who can doubt, too, that it is a deeply human technology? And so today we celebrate 21 individuals who helped move us to the realization of our vision. The internet is for everyone. This class of contributions include not just the development of networks themselves. They include the creation of protocols that enabled early networks to work faster and more effectively, the creation of early internet policy and processes that helped democratize the network and increase access. The facilitation of training and education that enabled a new generation of network stewards. And the identification and resolution of shortfalls that compromised network safety and security. These inductees contributed their time, ingenuity, and lives to building the internet and giving it to humanity. I wonder how many of them might have imagined when they were embarking on these efforts how crucial what they were doing then would become for everyone now. We could not even be holding this ceremony safely and in respect of the health of our communities and loved ones without the work they did. And so, current inductees, we, all of us, are humbled by the opportunity to commend you for your work and the legacy you have left us. We are grateful for what you have done for the world and for all of our everyday lives. Welcome to the Internet Hall of Fame, and thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Before we go to our first inductee, I should mention that we will be skipping across time zones just to make it easier for the inductees or their representatives to join this ceremony at a time that is convenient for them, because they hail from dozens of countries spread all across the map. In that sense, we are also world travelers here today. Maybe not physically, but we will get to see all the corners of the globe without having to suffer cramped seating or airline food, thanks to the internet. I should also say that inductees do not yet have the official awards in their hands, but these will be sent to them following this ceremony. I will announce the name of each inductee. I will try. I've been practicing some of the names and pronunciation for a few days. I fear I may make some mistakes, so apologies in advance for that. And then we will be able to watch a short video recording from each of them or their representatives. So without further ado, let's go to the awards. Our first inductee comes from Australia, and his work as a network engineer grew the internet in the Asia-Pacific region, Africa, and the Middle East. He's helped deploy internet exchange points around the globe, which brought quality internet service and to areas where infrastructure was sparse, strengthening local networks and keeping costs down. He also helped codify best practices for engineering processes and protocols, especially border gateway protocols. We are honored to present this award to Dr. Philip Smith. Let's watch his video.
It has been quite a journey over the last 30 years. I'm honored and delighted to be recognized by my industry colleagues. Actually, I'm still in shock that I'm to be included in the Internet Hall of Fame class of 2021. I left university in 1992 after completing a PhD in physics and doing 3 years postdoctoral research. Those 6 postgraduate years saw my increasing interest in IP networking, even helping with building the department's network. I left university life to what my disappointed head of department warned me was taking a very big risk by moving into the early internet industry and joining Pipex, the UK's first commercial internet service provider. But with supportive, encouraging parents, and probably to their regret, a few years later when I departed the UK, I took a very big step into the unknown. The Pipex journey was of rapid internet and personal growth, not to mention new connections of customer networks in the UK, Europe, Africa, and even into Asia as the thirst for internet grew. The first internet exchange points were emerging and having fundamental impact, with links in London being set up in 1994. From 1998, my time at Cisco in the company's chief technology office was focused on educating about best practices, growing the internet infrastructure, and growing the global internet economy. Being in Australia allowed me to concentrate on the Asia-Pacific region, the area of most rapid growth in the early 2000s. Although I did really cover most of planet Earth, with numerous activities in Africa, renewing friendships from Pipex days, in fact, the Middle East, even in parts of Europe, and to my big surprise in North America as well. Even now, as an independent consultant, a large portion of my time is spent with the Network Startup Resource Center, doing the infrastructure building, IXP development, and best operational practices work I've enjoyed for all these years. not to mention helping and encouraging the many network operator groups and the Asia Pacific region's biggest internet operations conference, Apricot. Looking back, it has been the most incredible experience, especially when I think about the countries I've traveled to, the infrastructures developed, the operational skills and knowledge I hope I've helped enhance, and the friendships made. Many countries and their people are special to me, perhaps no more so than Bhutan, where I've had the privilege of helping the internet journey since it began in early 1999. Little did I realize the impact simply by sharing what I'd learned from others and encouraging young and upcoming network engineers to have the confidence in their abilities to enhance the internet infrastructure where they lived, to truly bring the internet to everyone and hopefully improve lives for all. I'm most grateful to the industry colleagues who nominated me and to the Internet Hall of Fame Advisory Board for selecting me to join the class of 2021. I'm truly honored, humbled, delighted, and proud to be included amongst an amazing group of colleagues in the Internet Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Dr. Philip Smith. Our next inductee hails from South Korea, and he played a key role in advancing the Asia-Pacific regional network infrastructure by creating many of the techniques we now use to share compressed and uncompressed video. We are honored to present the award to Mr. Dae Young Kim. Let's turn to his video speech.
It is my great honor to be inducted to the Internet Hall of Fame and to join the distinguished leaders in the creation and advancement of the Internet. I'd like to thank the Internet Society, the committees that granted me the honor, and my colleagues who kindly wrote the letters of recommendation and endorsement for me. During my involvement with advanced research and education networks in the Asia Pacific and beyond, my special personal interest has been in staging performing arts on the internet. Around the turn of the century, I was thrilled, as many others were, to perceive the possibility of the internet as a new era platform for professional performing arts. By professional, I mean that the artistic cyber performances be of such quality as can bring us emotional excitements comparable to what we'd experience with traditional performances in concert halls or theaters. And that one important technical distinction is that the artist need not gather at any specific single physical place, but may be performing remotely from distributed multiple sites, yet to be synchronized at least at one focal physical spot. In 2003, I started a project named Dancing Q, which was put choreographic and musical performances on global research and education networks. The series continued with the help of my colleagues at least once almost every year until the COVID-19 outbreak. Various techniques have been employed to compensate for or conceal the latencies over prearranged fixed paths to and from the performers distributed globally. The day will come when we'll be able to enjoy high-quality artistic performances, relaxing comfortably in our home theaters, wherein each artist, be they singers, instrument players, choreographers, or musical actors, actresses, come join performing live from multiple continents. The presentation at our home theaters may not only be by 2D, 3D video and multi-channel surround audio, but even be holographic. Recent emergence of the metaverse might make such commercially feasible cyber performances even more immersive. I'd be sure that this dream of ours may come true real soon. Thank you very much.
Fascinating. Daeyoung Kim, thank you very much indeed for those words. From South Korea to China now, where our next inductee resides. His work as an architect for the China Education and Research Network, which became the backbone of China's internet, helped to connect thousands of universities from the 1990s up to today. We are honored indeed to present the award to Dr. Sing Lee.
My name is Xing Li. I'm from China. It is my great honor to be in the Internet Hall of Fame Class 2021. Many thanks to ISOC, the nominators, selection committee, my family, my friends and colleagues for your support. I spent 8 years in the United States at Drexel University. It is the university that Paul Baring got his degree. When I was studying for my graduate degree, my major was EE, not networking. However, I participate in the internet growing process as an ordinary user. I was back to China in 1991 and started working in the electronic engineering department of Tsinghua University. At that time, there was no internet in China, but I told everybody how great the internet was. I was very lucky to be chosen as a member of China Education Research Network CERNET technical team. I participated in several internet development organizations in Asia Pacific, such as APNG, APIA, APN Extra. I was in the EC board of APNIC, and I'm very happy to be able to work for promoting and developing internet, especially in the developing countries. There are more than 320 million students in China, from K to 12 to grad school. It is impossible to sign even a single IPv4 address per Chinese student. In order to solve this problem, we set up the first IPv6 testbed in China, connecting to 6boom. In the year 2004, we developed an IPv6 only backbone, which is called CERNET2. I led a research team and we invented the network-specific stateless IPv4, IPv6 translation technology. After several years of work, the related translation series became the IETF standard. Thanks to the IETF friends and all the technical contributors for the internet. You are the heroes. You make the universal connectivity the reality. I have always believed in the concept of a single internet, no matter whether it is IPv4, IPv6, or even future versions, and no matter where it is located. This internet can naturally evolve to support new functions to have better performance and security, as well as to be affordable for everyone. I would like to continue work for it, and I believe the future will be more exciting. Thank you very much.
Resounding message there for the internet for everyone. Dr. Lee, congratulations. Our next inductee advanced the internet in Europe by establishing networks between the Norwegian and United States Defense Departments, helping found the first Advanced Research Projects Agency network, ARPANET, connection outside the US in Norway, and to secure .no as the first domain outside the US. We are extremely pleased to honor Ingvar G. Lund, whose award will be accepted by his wife, Bente Lund, who has also recorded a video message for us.
First of all, I want to thank you very much on Yngve's behalf for the honorable award. I wish Yngve could have been here. He would have been happy and honored. Yngve passed away in August last year. Yngve was a very fine person. He was modest and inspiring. We were married for 60 years, and I never saw him angry. On the institute where Yngve worked with research, he had a very inspiring boss, Carl Holberg, who suggested a stay at MIT. And Yngve started cooperating with Bob Kahn and Windsurf. More persons joined the group, but these two are those I remember. They came to our house when the meeting was in Norway. Once we had dinner and I served lamb steak. I never forget. Bob Kahn surprised me when he gave me the recipe for mint jelly by heart. And it's a bit complicated. I still make it. Yngve was involved in many important developments. It's funny to think about now that way back he came home one day and said, "Now we can soon leave a message on the telephone if they don't answer." And the computers at that time were big cabinets. I even think they had an architect to design. Yngve supervised the team that had created the first computer in Norway. It has been in the Technical Museum in Oslo for many years now. Yngve was very talented and had many hobbies. First of all, he was a sailor and a radio amateur. He had honeybees and produced a lot of honey. When taking photos, he made them down the basement in a dark room. But this is many years ago. And about all, he was an artist with woodwork. It was bowls and plates and small tables and a lot of gadgets. He designed and repaired things down in his workshop. Many things in the house today reminds me of my dear husband. Thank you.
Some inspiring words and very touching, Bente. Thank you very much indeed. And congratulations to your husband. Before we move on, we would be remiss if we did not mention the generosity of our sponsors for this event. You've seen the names on the screen already. These sponsors, LACNIC, the Regional Internet Registry for Latin America and the Caribbean, together with RIPE NCC, the Regional Internet Registry for Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Central Asia, truly understand the importance of the work we are recognizing here today, and we thank them heartily for their generous support. Thank you. Our next inductee is also being awarded this honor posthumously. Dr. Robert Bloxell played a significant role in advancing internet development and use in Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia through his work as a founder and leader of Réseau IP Européen. Let's turn to the video, which has been recorded by Miriam Kuna, RIPE NCC chair, at the request of Robert's wife, Lynn.
My name is Miriam Kühne. I am obviously not Rob Bloxell, but I am very happy to do this acceptance speech for Rob. And I'm very happy that Rob Bloxell has now been included in the Internet Hall of Fame. And thank you very much to the committee to recognize Rob's legacy. Obviously, I'm very sad that Rob cannot accept his award personally. And I'm grateful and humbled that his wife, Lynn Bloxell, asked me to do this acceptance speech for Rob and for herself. It's an honor for me. And Lynn has actually been a great support for Rob and also for me personally throughout the years, and especially in the last years of Rob's life. In 1989, Rob Loxall was one of the co-founders of the European Network Operators Group called RIPE, or Réseau IP Européen, and he was the chair for 25 years until 2014. In his role as chair of RIPE, his vision, expertise, and efforts were essential for the growth and spread of this very well-respected forum or group of people, which also acted as a model for other communities and other organizations later on. And also in other areas, Rob has enabled and supported numerous people to build the internet in their regions, maybe most notably in the former Soviet Union and Russia and surrounding countries, where he was very active and very supportive there. And the collaboration and coordination that Rob fostered was essential to the success of the internet as we all know it today. Rob was always very open and approachable, and he never hesitated to share his knowledge and his skills with others. And he will remain an inspiration for many in the community for many years to come. Especially with his talent to connect people and to basically engage with everybody, from like techies to government representatives, and with his way to build consensus among people and among diverse and often conflicting interests. He built a stable community, and he has helped us overcome many hurdles. He made sure decisions were done in an open, bottom-up, inclusive fashion. And we still do that today. We've learned a lot from Rob there. Without him, we would not have such a strong network operators group in Europe. And Rob built this community, and in this pragmatic and diplomatic way, he always defended values such as openness, collaboration, coordination, that are so important for an open and accessible internet for all of us. In my role as RIPE chair today, I greatly benefit from Rob's legacy and from his leadership, and I'm still guided by his voice of reason. And his mantra, let's keep things simple, is followed by many of us in this community that Rob was so instrumental in building. Thank you very much.
Miriam Kuhne, thank you very much for those words about Robert Loxall. The next inductee comes from the Czech Republic, and he was an early champion of international networking for research and development in Czechoslovakia in the early 1990s. He initiated the country's connection to the European Academic and Research Network, and then established the Czech Education and Scientific Network. We are honored today to present this award to Dr. Jan Gontarrat. Let's hear his video speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the Internet Society for the great honor to be nominated into Internet Hall of Fame. I would like to thank to many people who supported me during my working career. These rewards go also to all of them. I had the privilege to work so many talented, nice and hard-working people, not only from my country, but also from all over the world. It is impossible to name all these great people, but I would like to name one extraordinary person who deserved the title Father of the Internet, and it is Vint Cerf. I met Vint for the first time at the Joint Networking Conference in Blois, France in 1991. I was lucky that I could meet Vint again next year while visiting the USA. Vint spent with me full day answering all my questions and talking about the future of the Internet. This meeting was very inspiring for my future work. In 1990, I became director of EARN for Czechoslovakia when we connected mainframe computer IBM located at the Czech Technical University in Prague to unknown in Linz, Austria. During 1991, I was leading the team that connected Czechoslovakia to the internet. The network and later organization became known as CESNET, and I was leading it as director and member for 25 years. In the early 90s, CESNET helped to establish the necessary parts of the internet ecosystems within the country, CCTLD management and peering center. CESNET is now a key component of the integrated infrastructure for R&D in the Czech Republic and currently is deploying 400 gigabit per second backbone network. We were also sharing our best practices to other countries in the Central and Eastern Europe and also East Caucasus. Internet is a big success, and it is impossible to imagine the world without it today. Its free-willing spirit and open development environment, to which academic community was so active to contribute, need to be preserved in the future with no or minimum involvement of the government. Thank you.
Some important internet history there for the Czech Republic, Eastern Europe, and the rest of the world. Congratulations, Jan. From the Czech Republic, we travel quite a long distance to Brazil next, where our inductee played a key role in the design and implementation of the country's first internet backbone and helped educate a generation of engineers and network specialists both in Brazil and beyond. Congratulations to Dr. Liane Toroko for her outstanding achievements.
I would like to start by saying how pleased I am to have been nominated for the Internet Hall of Fame. Being nominated for this distinction that has been awarded to people notable in building the history and trajectory of the Internet is very rewarding. On this occasion, I could not fail to recognize the contribution of someone who was decisive in my own trajectory. One of the decisive people was Leonard Kleinrock of UCLA, one of the pioneers in implementing the ARPANET that evolved into the Internet. From a course he taught in Brazil in 1973, I was awakened to the challenge of working with computer networks. It was a job to open up an area that was hitherto little known in Brazil. The book I wrote at the time was the first published in Portuguese in Brazil and served as the basis for a whole generation of computer course students. Over the next decade, I had the opportunity to work for a brief period at the Network Information Center at SRI, then coordinated by Jake Fender, to whom I am very grateful. In the late 80s, access to Internet began to become available in Brazil, and thanks to the competent work of Demi Getchko, the academic network in São Paulo began to operate, and some time later, other state academic networks also started to operate. The National Research Network, which will become the National Academic Backbone, began operating in 1992. Working closely, I was soon in charge of setting up the academic network in my states. Pioneering Internet services such as Gopher have been installed since 1993 at the Supercomputing Center at the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, where I worked. The first websites also appeared in 1994 at the university, created with the collaboration of my students in the graduate program in computer science. At this time, I also participated in the creation of national networks point of presence at the university to provide service and support throughout the state, with the collaboration and competence of colleagues such as Leandro Bertoldo, César Loureiro, and Jussara Mussi. Finally, I can only once again thank everyone who contributed to the recognition of my work over the years.
Dr. Taroko, thank you very much for your important work. Our next inductee's sons are accepting his award on his behalf. Peter Per Thormod Spilling, we honor your father's contributions as a key contributor to the establishment of the first Advanced Research Net Projects Agency Network, ARPANET, node outside the US back in 1973. After that, he helped extend that connection to a second overseas node, paving the way for a global network. We are privileged to be able to present the award to Professor Paul Spilling's sons. Let's hear a few words from Peter and Per.
So hello, my name is Peter.
And my name is Per.
And on behalf of our father, Paul Spilling, we thank you so much for this posthumous selection as an inductee into the Internet Hall of Fame. Our father would have been very humble and proud. On a day like this, there are many memories and anecdotes that come to mind, and we would like to mention a few.
After his PhD in nuclear science in 1968, his education was of no use, as Norway decided to exploit oil instead of nuclear power, so to speak. So he turned in another direction. At the Norwegian Defense Research Establishment, he got involved in computer science and data communication by Ingvar Lund, whom had the connection to ARPA. Together they worked closely with the ARPANET project. This led to Norway being the first country connected to the ARPANET outside the US, although closely followed by the UK some 20 minutes later, according to sources.
In 1979, our family moved to Palo Alto, where we lived for a year while he continued the internet-related work at SRI International. It was a year filled with wonderful experiences for the whole family. Another fond memory is from our years later back in Norway. NDRE was hosting an ARPANET meeting, and part of this was a lunch visit to the whole group to our 250-year-old farmhouse outside of Oslo. Our host came the first internet-connected home office in Norway, and maybe in the world, in 1981 with a 9,600 baud line. When he was out traveling, we used the terminal at home to communicate with him via the Talk application.
In the early days of the ARPANET project, most of the other researchers in the data communication field in Norway were not very interested in TCP/IP. Instead, they focused on the European ISO standardization work. This lack of interest was for several years quite frustrating. But finally, in 1983, the other groups got involved after he had established a TCP/IP-based network between the Norwegian Telecom R&D and the Norwegian universities.
In 1988, he got nationwide attention when he saved Norway from the first known internet attack by the Morris War. What he did was simply pulling out the plug in his office that connected Norway to the internet. The newspapers wanted a photograph of him with the plug, and the journalists decided the plug was too small to get public attention, so they ended up using a big printer plug instead.
In 2005, he attended the celebration of the birth of Internet, which included the unveiling of the plug at Stanford University, where the founding fathers of Internet are honored for their endeavors in the early days. It was a great moment, meeting lots of former colleagues, talking about good old days, and of course, seeing his name on the bronze plug. Once more, on behalf of our father, Paul Spilling, thank you so much for this appreciation of his work and contribution to the birth of Internet.
Thank you.
It's the internet. It must have a big plug. Thank you very much for your words, Peter, Per, and very many congratulations to your father. We've already been on quite a journey to a number of countries around the world, and communities the world over, around the globe are represented here today. And what that means in the context of internet growth and protection is that this is really a global effort. Let's just take a quick look as we travel the globe further to highlight the array of places that our inductees come from. Truly a rich and beautiful connection that we have throughout the world. Turning now to our next inductee, who comes from Denmark. He helped found the European Internet backbone, eBone, considered Europe's original internet, and he played an important role in the expansion of that network across Western and Eastern Europe, North Africa, and Iran. We are honored to present the award to Dr. Frode Greisen.
During the 1980s, an American professor called Larry Landweber organized a number of workshops, international workshops on internet matters. In 1989, at a meeting in Sydney, he suggested that instead of doing it by invitation, we should organize a conference. In order to emphasize that the internet is not a US project, he suggested the conference should be held in Copenhagen, Denmark, where I'm based. This decision made me very busy. I had to organize a place with an unknown number of attendees, help establish a program, and get some funding. However, we had 330 people from a lot of countries, and the conference was a success. We called it INET 91, and as you may know, there have been INET conferences in decades after this one. At the conference, Vincerf announced the formation of the Internet Society, and I was honored to be part of the founding board, and I also served as chairman of the board in 1987 to 98, I think it was. Now, in order to have an internet, you have to move bits across country boundaries. And to this effect, a European consortium was established in 1991. And I was happy to manage this effort for 10 years. At the time, information communication was taken care of by the national PTTs. However, around 1990, the EU mandate competition. So while initially, when you ordered an international line, you could get it at very low speed and very long delay. During these 10 years, we were able to increase the speed from 256 kilobits per second to 10 gigabits per second. This is a factor of 40,000. Looking back, it has been fantastic to be part of this growth and establish a new mode of communication between people all over the world. Email has basically replaced the slow and expensive postal mail. On the network, there is a lot of noise and useless stuff. It has to be admitted. But I like to mention one thing which I think is a fantastic development, namely Wikipedia. Wikipedia is built based on a human urge to share knowledge, and it has grown into an fundamental, enormous database which is accessible for everybody with an internet connection. So I think this is one of the major achievements of the internet to this day.
Dr. Grayson, very many congratulations. Our next inductee is a dual national of both Brazil and Canada, where he advanced internet development and democratized access there and in other Latin American countries through his role as a co-founder and leader of several key organizations, including the Association for Progressive Communications. Congratulations to Mr. Carlos Alberto Afonso. Let's hear from him now.
Dear people, I am proud of my induction to the Internet Hall of Fame, a result of a collective journey which started in the early 80s with a network of NGOs called Interdoc. One of the offsprings was the Alternex project in 1989, hosted at the Brazilian Institute of Social and Economic Analysis in Rio de Janeiro. It worked as a BBS with a novelty. Was the first BBS exchanging messages over the National Packet Switching Network REMPAC. Instead of just REMPAC users, we became REMPAC information providers as well. In May 1990, we participated in the creation of the Association for Progressive Communications, APC, a major result of the Interdoc networking. At the time, the telecommunications monopoly in Brazil insisted that packet switching would have to conform to the OSI-ISO standard, and TCP/IP was out of question. In 1991, the UN started preparations for the World Environment and Development Conference in Rio de Janeiro, known as ECO 92. It would be the first multi-stakeholder conference of the organization. Since many participants would not be able to come to Rio, UN proposed a global electronic network to facilitate remote participation and contacted us at Alternex. In June, we participated in the INET conference in Copenhagen, the starting point for the formation of the Internet Society, and an opportunity to further discuss the UN ECO 92 project. Our proposal to bring permanent Internet links to Brazil for ECO 92 became part of the formal host country agreement between the UN and Brazil, which resulted in the activation of 2 links operated by the academic community and which provided connectivity to the conference and to Alternex. In this process, Alternex became the first ISP in the country permanently connected to the Internet and proposed in 1994 the creation of a startup incubator connecting about 150 bulletin board systems for message exchange with the Internet. The success can be measured by the many BBSs who became full Internet service providers in Brazil, some of them among the largest in the country. The time was ripe for a broad expansion of the Internet in the country, and a group of NGOs, academics, and government members proposed the creation of an organism to monitor and make recommendations on the use and development of the Internet in the country. All the Brazilians currently in the Hall of Fame, besides myself, participated in this groundbreaking process. Establishing in May 1995 the Multi-Stakeholder Internet Steering Committee of Brazil, CGI.br, along with an official norm determining that the Internet was a value-added service, not subordinated to the telecommunications regulations. At the time, we started discussing the creation of a Brazilian chapter of the Internet Society, which we managed to officially establish in 2011. I and my colleagues worked together with a bunch of special people, and some of them are now Hall of Famers. People like Michael Stanton, Tadao Takahashi, Demi Gitschko, and several others who are or would very well deserve to be Hall of Famers as well. Anything of relevance that I did would have been impossible without the collaboration of so many colleagues, to whom I dedicate this induction. Thank you.
Carlos, thank you very much indeed, and congratulations on your induction. We move now to the United States and to someone whose contributions were mainly in developing the first border gateway protocol, a technology essential to scaling the internet. He also played a key role in evolving that technology throughout the years. We are honored to present the award to Mr. Yakov Rector. Let's hear his video.
My involvement with the internet and internet routing goes back to 1988. In 1988, the United States National Science Foundation set up a cooperative agreement with a consortium of IBM, MCI, and Merit to build and operate an SFNet backbone phase 2. At that time, I worked at IBM T.J. Watson Research Center. And as part of this cooperative agreement, I became responsible for designing and implementing routing for the NSFNet backbone. That is precisely how I got involved in the internet routing. At that time, the internet interdomain routing technology was fairly rudimentary, with a number of restrictions that imposed practical limitations on the growth of the internet. Border Gateway Protocol, BGP, was developed to eliminate these limitations and provide a fully functional interdomain routing for the internet. BGP was created by two individuals, Kurt Lockheed and myself. It was created over lunch at the 12th Internet Engineering Task Force meeting in January of 1989. It was sketched on 3 napkins, and shortly after lunch, the napkins were converted into 3 pages. Within a few months, Kirk came up with the implementation of BGP on Cisco routers, and I wrote the implementation that ran on the NSFNet routers. Shortly thereafter, the Merit team deployed BGP in the NSFNet backbone. That is how BGP was born. Fast forward from 1989 to the present, looking back at 30 plus years of evolution of BGP, it would be fair to say that BGP turned out to be a widely successful protocol, as it far exceeds its original design goals, both in terms of scale, being deployed on a scale much greater than originally envisaged, and in terms of purpose, being used in scenarios far beyond the internet interdomain routing. Besides Kurt Lockheed and myself, there are many individuals who were instrumental in the evolution and success of BGP. Hans Werner Braun and the whole Merit team provided invaluable feedback based on operational experience that guided the earlier evolution of BGP. Tony Lee made major contributions to the development of BGP and specifically support for classless interdomain routing. It is precisely the combination of BGP and classless interdomain routing that enabled drastic increase in the scalability of the internet interdomain routing, which in turn enabled tremendous growth of the internet. I also want to acknowledge Dave Katz, Paul Traynor, Ravi Chandra, John Scudder, and Sue Harris for their work on developing important BGP functionality. Finally, I want to express my deepest thanks and appreciation to the person who nominated me for the Internet Hall of Fame.
It's amazing what you learn. Who knew that BGP started out life on the back of a napkin? Yakov, thank you very much indeed, and very many congratulations. We stay in the United States for our next inductee, who designed and wrote the software that created internet gateways, the precursor to routers and the core component that allowed dissimilar networks to connect. Thank you, Ms. Virginia Strazisar-Travers. We are very happy indeed to welcome you to the Hall of Fame. Let's watch her video.
Thank you to Vince Cerf for nominating me to the Hall of Fame and to all the people who support the inductees and preserve our history. I'm honored to be added to the Hall of Fame and to be recognized for my contributions to the development of the Internet. Starting in 1975, while working at Bolt, Brannick & Newman, known as BBN, I participated in the early development of the Internet through ARPA-sponsored projects. I developed software for the gateways, the machines we now call routers. I wrote the software and installed it in the gateways that connected the Atlantic satellite network to the ARPANET. I installed the first SatNet gateway at University College London in December 1976, and the second SatNet gateway in Oslo, Norway in June 1977. I also worked on the gateway that connected the ARPANET to the packet radio network at SRI in Palo Alto. This work enabled the first demonstration of 3 interconnected networks in 1977, the start of what we now call the Internet. In the process, I was able to travel in all those areas, the start of a lifetime passion. As one of a team of researchers, we developed the first implementations of the Internet protocols and routing algorithms that are in common use still today. We spent long hours debating algorithms and writing, debugging, and testing software, working within the limitations of the available computer and communications hardware. Vint led our team and was often working alongside us, always encouraging us through the long work hours. Nowadays, when adding a network is as simple as plugging in a box off the shelf, it's hard to believe that connecting 2 networks once took months. The continued and evolving use of the designs and software we developed almost 50 years ago is a testament to the entire Internet team. I never imagined then that what we were building would have such a profound effect on the world. Though, as with many inventions, there are benefits and drawbacks, I am proud to have been a part of the Internet team. The Internet has revolutionized communications. As I and people around the world use it daily to bring and hold together families and friends, I am proud to have been a part of its development. Thank you.
yet more amazing internet history stretching back 50 years. Thank you, Virginia, for your words. Now we'll hear from a guest speaker about the importance of the Internet Hall of Fame and what it represents. It is my pleasure to introduce previous inductee, Dr. Glenn Rickart, who is currently Internet Hall of Fame Advisory Board Chair. Glenn.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. I really appreciate it. As he said, I'm Glenn Rickart. I'm 2013 inductee for creating the first Internet exchange point. This year, I had the honor of chairing the Internet of Fame Hall of Fame Advisory Committee, which selected this year's 21 inductees. I can assure you that each and every member of the committee spent many hours carefully considering, reviewing, and discussing the nominees. And this year, we looked especially closely for people whose contributions influenced the course of the Internet on regional and global scales, but who may have been overlooked or not previously nominated. I'd like to personally congratulate all of the people who were nominated, and especially this year's inductees. None of us fully envisioned the Internet as it is today. It's a conduit for commerce, learning, entertainment, and connecting with friends and family. But downside impacts are also present. Not enough people are connected. There's not enough concern for privacy. And there's really too many compartmented echo chambers that limit the scope of commerce. The nonprofit I founded, US Ignite, is working on all of these issues with a community-by-community focus. The Internet Society is also a very powerful force with programs to address these issues. But whether you work with US Ignite or the Internet Society or one of the many other wonderful organizations in this area, I invite you, each and every one of you, to do whatever you can, wherever you can, and whenever you discover an opportunity to really magnify the positive impacts of the world's most successful technology, the Internet. Thanks very much, and back to you, James.
Thank you very much indeed, Glenn, and thank you for your work in the Internet Hall of Fame Advisory Board. Our next inductee was instrumental in connecting many Caribbean and several Latin American countries to the Internet through his work as the director of the Hemisphere-wide Inter-University Scientific and Technological Information Network Program. We are pleased to present the award to Dr. Saul Hahn.
I wish to thank ISOC for this great honor. In 1991, while working for the Organization of American States, our group started the project Hemisphere-Wide University Scientific and Technological Network. The purpose of the project was to build an electronic research and education network for the Americas. I would like to thank Sonia Samer-Finch, a former director of science and technology at the OAS, for all her support, and Santiago Aguilar for all his work and assistance. In addition, I greatly appreciate the collaboration of Dr. Stephen Goldstein from NSF. At a meeting in Santiago, Chile, with Tadao Takahashi, head of the National Brazilian Research Network, we agreed to jointly organize the first Inter-American networking in 1991 in Rio de Janeiro, and had over 100 participants from all over the Americas. In 1991, I co-organized with Roberto Loran and Rafa Perez Colon a hands-on workshop for the OAS Caribbean countries at the facilities of the University of Puerto Rico. This evolved as the QNet network. I was fortunate to meet and work with Dr. Guide Teramon, who was then the head of the network in Costa Rica. We started a remarkable partnership that lasted for many years and helped facilitate some of the first fully dedicated internet connections in Central America and the Caribbean. In South America, our group worked with many countries, including Peru, Bolivia, and Paraguay, to provide the necessary equipment, including satellite stations, when necessary. Those early connection systems have since been further developed, and now millions of people have access to the internet. But a lot remains to be done. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown us how the internet can be used to facilitate remote education. However, millions of students remain disadvantaged because they are still without access to the internet. The key challenge is to bridge this gap of the haves and have-nots. Working on these projects was some of the most fulfilling and meaningful work of my second career, and I want to thank everyone who helped bring them to fruition. I wish to thank my family for all their support, the Internet Society, and the people that nominated me for this high honor. Thank you.
A reminder there that the work to grow and strengthen the internet is not yet done. Saul, thank you very much indeed for your words, and congratulations. The next inductee comes from the United States, where her creation and stewardship of a fair and sustainable system for allocating IP addresses helped fundamentally safeguard the development as a member-driven, self-governing network. We are extremely honored to present the award to Ms. Kim Hubbard.
Hello, everyone. I just want you to know I'm so excited and honored to be inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame. I want to thank the Internet Society and the Advisory Board for selecting me. And I really want to thank my friend Kathy Aronson for nominating me, and to those who wrote in to support my nomination. Now, my bio pretty much details my work in IP allocation, so I won't go over all of that. I just want to take this opportunity to thank some people who supported me along the way. So when Network Solutions was first awarded the contract for IP allocation, my experience with all things internet was pretty limited. So I just want to thank people who supported me, and like David Conrad from APNIC, Daniel Karenberg from RIPE, and of course, John Pascal. I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity to work and learn from John. In early 1997, I approached the leadership of Network Solutions and its parent company, SAIC, about spinning off the internet into a separate organization, much like RIPE and APNIC. It took some convincing, but eventually they agreed on the condition that I received buy-in from Congress, the White House, and a consensus of the ISPs. Now, I knew this was going to be really hard, so one of the first things I did was select a board of trustees. Now, the founding board was instrumental in helping me get Aaron approved. In fact, without the help of Scott Bradner, Randy Bush, John Curran, and Raimundo Vega Aguilara, it would have been much more difficult to get Aaron started. So after several months of my lobbying Congress and the White House and hearing every ISP's opinion, and I do mean every ISP, I received approval for Aaron, to start Aaron. Now, Aaron is a membership organization, and without their support, Aaron could never have succeeded. In fact, their enthusiastic support from running for open board and advisory council seats to attending Aaron meetings and helping write policy is what makes Aaron the great organization it is today. So I just want to thank everyone who played a role, big or small, in the startup of Aaron. And for those who supported me personally while I was the CEO, just know that your support meant everything. And without it, I definitely would not be receiving this honor. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Congratulations on the success of Aaron and on your induction into the Hall of Fame. Our next inductee heralds from El Salvador, and his contributions were mainly connecting the country to the internet and working to improve early systems for access nationwide. We are honored to present the award to Mr. Rafael Ibarra, better known as Lito Ibarra. Let's hear his video speech.
Cooperation, openness, solidarity. Since its conception, these have been some of the key values and principles at the core of the Internet. The people in this Hall of Fame have been following all of this, and they have been a model for many of us. My gratitude, respect, and admiration go to all of you who have led the way. It is a wonderful honor and privilege to be able to join you. It is like getting near your admired heroes, and like a child, that makes me very happy. I have had the opportunity and pleasure to work side by side with some of you, and I have learned a lot from that experience. As a fortunate coincidence, 26 years ago, on December 14, 1995, we were successful in directly connecting for the first time my country, El Salvador, to the internet. Some months before that day, in April 1993, while attending a TCP/IP workshop, my personal internet journey started, and I have enjoyed every moment of it. I also want to recognize several international organizations that have allowed me to join them in their work, like TLD, Red Clara, LACNIC, LICIX, the Internet Corporation for Assigning Names and Numbers, ICANN, and the Internet Society, among others. As a community, our mission is not finished. We have more people in the world to connect to the internet. We have to teach them how to make it a playfield leveling tool so they can improve their lives for themselves and their communities. We also need to work on security, limited address space, and trust aspects, among others. Attracting and including new generations, we should keep working together to maintain one internet for one world and make the internet for everyone. I thank every person that made this possible, friends that submitted my nomination and wrote a supporting letter, those who encouraged me, and those who selected me. I wish to conclude by saying that this recognition reaffirms my commitment to the work that we carry out from whatever role we play, seeking the greatest common good and public interest, although this is not always easy to identify. Likewise, my exhortation is for the thousands of colleagues and friends from the internet technical and social community to continue moving the goals forward, seeking to connect more people and promote a productive, free, and ethical use of the network of networks, the internet. My deepest gratitude goes to my family, friends, and colleagues all over the world who have provided me with advice, company, collaborative work, support, and love. Thank you.
Lito, thank you very much for those inspiring words, and congratulations on your entry into the Hall of Fame. Now we move to someone who played a significant role in influencing policy to support the growth and improvement of the internet in Mexico and throughout Latin America. His advocacy and keen understanding of the unique needs of developing countries when it comes to the internet have significantly influenced policy and directed funding to keep millions online. Professor Alejandro Pisanti continues to teach, write, and participate in internet governance and related issues such as e-government, e-learning, and cybersecurity.
To be inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame, I am humbled by the achievements of all fellow new inductees, and especially by the towering achievements of the founders and the people who were recognized in the first cuts. My contribution is certainly not a pioneering, but more of a global attempt to contribute to make the internet useful and open and keep it that way, aware of its technical requirements and also the enormous technical potential. It has been a great ride to work along some of the most appreciated and now friends who have made this possible over so many years. Perhaps the most significant moment for me was when I realized that you should not think only of what the internet can do for you, but what you can do for the internet, how every one of us has to contribute to make it larger, more solid, more open, and contribute to more and more people while bringing them in. I'm very thankful for the opportunities I've had to fight for it, to draw a line on the ground in Mexico to make sure that the internet is something you don't mess with. You don't mess with the internet in Mexico, and people know about that for many years now. It's open for everybody, and even in these more contentious times in social media, we're still able to provide a flat platform that everybody can enter and to continue to lobby and to work for more and more people to become connected and active, proactive, and constructive on the internet. I'm very thankful to all who made this possible for me, particularly Bing Cerf, Esther Dyson, Mike Roberts in the first ICANN board, who provided my platform to the global kind of work, Paul Toomey, Stuart Lin, the other ICANN CEOs, the people in ISOC, Internet Society, provided the first exciting opportunities to see what was being done by activists and technologists all over the world very early in the 1990s when I started being in contact with this stuff, with that side of the work. And I would also have to like to thank my university, my School of Chemistry, the presidents of the university I worked with, who were very supportive both of the internet expansion and of our participation in the global aspects of this work. My family, friends, the many people with whom I've worked are all more deserving than me of this honor, so I hand it over to you. Thank you very much.
Alejandro, thank you very much indeed. Congratulations, and thank you for all the work you've done to keep the internet open. Next, we will hear a few words from our second guest speaker about the importance of the Internet Hall of Fame. It is my pleasure to introduce previous inductee and 2021 IHOF Vetting Committee Chair, Dr. Yvonne Marie Andres.
Global greetings, everyone. As it was mentioned, I'm Yvonne Marie Andres, and I'm the co-founder of the Global Schoolhouse, the first internet-based schoolhouse where students from all over the world could learn together. It's my great pleasure on behalf of the Internet Hall of Fame Vetting Committee to welcome the 2021 inductees into the Internet Hall of Fame. These amazing women and men join the other brilliant visionaries who have been essential to constructing the technical internet and who have selflessly helped the world understand how to use the internet for things like research, education, government, diplomacy, medicine, science, arts, music, social action, and so much more. The internet is only 5 decades old. That's middle-aged, right? So as it continues to grow, I can't stress enough how important it is to empower and engage young people from every corner of the globe in its use and in its development. If you agree, I would love to collaborate with you and make this internet even better and stronger and more powerful than it is. Thank you so much.
Yvonne, thank you very much indeed. So let's move on. We have 5 inductees still remaining. Our next inductee has family to accept the award on his behalf. Mr. Daniel Kaminsky's 2008 discovery and repair of a fatal flaw in the internet domain naming system, now known as the Kaminsky bug, fostered the adoption of a more secure DNS. His untimely death at the age of 42 cut short a brilliant career that had by then already made the internet stronger and more secure. We thank his mother, Trudy Mora, for being here today and for recording a video message for us to watch.
Hello, I'm Trudy Mora, the mother of Daniel Kaminsky, the inductee into the Internet Hall of Fame, who recently passed away on April 23rd, 2021. I am accepting this award on his behalf. Daniel did things because they were the right thing to do, not because they would elicit financial gain. Daniel once said to me, his mother, "I try to do good. It's hard." He was the catalyst for many achievements across the vast internet spectrum, and I believe Dan truly represented the intersection of technology and humanity. Always the teacher, Daniel would take the time to explain the details of the internet security system to anyone who asked. It was an honor and a privilege to see Daniel's brain at work. He honestly could think outside the box, find solutions, and innovate in ways that were as yet unknown. But most importantly, I saw how Daniel was collaborative, kind, and generous to all the folks he worked with. He opened his heart, he gave with his soul. Daniel was a true friend, son, brother, thought leader, and inventor. His sister Angie said it best. Throughout the years, I saw his career accomplishments from afar, but I never understood his genius. He was so humble that I had no idea that the outside world admired him so. I did not realize how many people he helped and how he changed the world for the better. He had the most generous heart and soul, and he was great fun. Daniel's love of computers and the internet melded into his love of humankind. He was a silent champion of the downtrodden, whether by sex, creed, rank, or education. And as that champion, Daniel would step forward to help anyone, physically, mentally, socially, or financially. After his passing, because Daniel had 97,000 followers on Twitter, I heard from many of them telling about the good deeds Dan did for them personally. The internet security community can be known for its biting, misogynist discourse on Twitter. Daniel stood out for his consistent empathy. He disdained the Twitter pile-on and served as a generous mentor for journalists and aspiring hackers. Daniel's empathy extended to his many side projects. When a friend struggled with color blindness, Daniel developed the DanCam, a mobile app that uses a phone's camera to interpret colors otherwise unseen by the colorblind. When his grandmother at 85 experienced hearing loss, he refocused his efforts on hearing aid technology. When his aunt, a dermatologist, told Daniel she could no longer treat under-resourced patients for AIDS-related skin diseases in sub-Saharan African refugee camps, Daniel helped develop the telemedicine tools for the National Institute of Health. Early on in the coronavirus outbreak, He worked with Empath, a health project led by Indiana University to help characterize the coronavirus. You can shed tears that Daniel Kaminsky is gone, or you can smile because he lived. As a family and a world community, we thank you for the honor of inducting Daniel M. Kaminsky into the Internet Hall of Fame. Although I, as his mother, was proud beyond belief of his outstanding accomplishments, I was even prouder of the great man he became.
Trudy, you must be extremely proud indeed, and congratulations to Daniel on his well-deserved place in the Hall of Fame. Our next inductee comes from the United States, and her contributions consisted of the design of the highly influential Resource Reservation Protocol, which has served as the foundation of internet traffic engineering by most major network operators and has helped to enable the effective management and growth of the internet's backbone networks for over 2 decades. Congratulations, Professor Lixia Shang.
Hi, everyone. People say that luck is all about being in the right time at the right place. For that definition, I feel I'm one of the luckiest person in the world. I walked into MIT for my PhD study in September 1981, which was the exact same month that the TCP/IP specifications, RFC 791 to 793, were published. My advisor, Dr. David Clark, was the Internet's chief protocol architect at the time. So he handed me the RFCs and said, "These are hot off the press, go read." That started my 40-year journey with the internet. Not only I got to the right place at the right time, but I also got to know the internet pioneers, starting from Professor Licklider to Paul Barron, Vint Cerf, Bob Kahn, Steve Cracker, and John Pastel, with whom I actually worked on the project very closely. So I got the chance to learn from them directly. But in particular, my advisor, David Clark, taught me how to design network protocols, and more importantly, how to think architecturally. After graduation from MIT, I joined Xerox Palo Alto Research Center, PARC, and got a mission for myself: help the internet grow. I watched with my own eyes how the internet grew from a design to a global success. In the late 90s, however, I also noticed how the deployments started departing from the original design, with the middle boxes appearing in many places, such as network address translators, content distribution network boxes, and in particular, firewalls showing up everywhere. As a researcher, one has to get to the bottom of the issue. Why are those middle boxes? Are they just a reflection of a growing pain, or are they indicating something much deeper? I didn't have a clear answer until later, after I started working with Glenn Jacobson, a well-known internet pioneer, on several projects. And the effort eventually led to something entirely new. So Glenn was the first to sketch out a brand new way to do networking. He said, instead of using addresses and connections, a much better way is to use application named data and securing data directly. We call this new architecture named data networking. Wanda and I, together with a team of students and colleagues who share the same vision, have been working on the NDN development since 2010. You can see that it has been a very long journey, a challenging one, but also very exciting. To my mission of helping the internet grow, although I have done a few pieces of work earlier, this NDN effort will mark my biggest contribution to the internet. I think the internet age has just started. How will the internet look like 40 years from now? I have no clue. But looking back where we were 40 years ago, we know that the world would be fundamentally different and better than what we have today. As the saying goes, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And that gets me up early every morning to work on it with excitement and with the whole internet community together. Thank you.
Great message for the future. Congratulations, Professor Zhang. Instrumental in the design, development, and operation of the National Science Foundation Network, our next inductee helped pave the way for large-scale routing and created a model for internet networks around the world. We are honored to present Mr. Hans Werner Braun from the United States with this award.
This is quite difficult for me due to more than 10 years of Parkinson's. I'm not sure what to say. I appreciate being included in the Internet Hall of Fame. There are many others who played key roles as well who seem to be all but forgotten by now. I cannot even start to inclusively credit people for working with me or helping me, as there were literally at least hundreds. For quite a few I would not even remember their names across more than 35 years of time. So let me talk about a few anecdotes instead. I initially worked for 5 years at the University of Cologne in then West Germany on a regional computer network. Eric Opperly then hired me at the University of Michigan in 1983 to work on a multi-campus network named Merit. Not too much later he asked me whether I could take a look at some 8-inch floppy disks. They contained an operating system that resembled RT11, which I had been familiar with. The author was Dave Mills, and he had named his software Fuzzball. For all practical purposes, Dave was my mentor via the internet on how the internet works. I greatly appreciate his help. In 1986, Fuzzball hardware and links to interconnect the 5 NSF supercomputer centers, plus the National Center for Atmospheric Research, were deployed at the new 56 kilobits per second NSFNet backbone. But it was not up and running. The University of Michigan's computing center, where I worked, was connected to ENCA and other sites via ENCA's University Satellite Network project. The sites used bridged Ethernets interconnected via a geostationary satellite. This, plus my Fuzzball experience, allowed me to then get the 56 kilobit per second NSFNet backbone into an operational state. I started to work with official support staff at the supercomputer sites. But be careful what you touch, you may get stuck with it, as basically from then on I kind of had to maintain the NSFNet backbone network. While that was impactful, I often felt fairly alone in terms of people to have system-level discussions with. That was very scary for me, knowing that so many depended on the working network. Fast forward a few years. Life became easier when the T1 NSFNet backbone project started, as there was real staff. Both direct staff in my internet engineering group, as well as with our collaborating project partners IBM and MCI. We all had some growing up to do in terms of what to build and how to build it, alongside often skeptical regional network staff. Speed was obviously a big deal. For example, I remember that MCI thought we were pretty crazy about wanting a T1 1.5 megabit per second capability that was not channeled into 56 kilobit per second circuits. They felt like we were completely insane when we then added that just a few years later we will need unchanneled T3 45 megabit per second. Things have changed since then. I would like to give special thanks to Steve Wolf, who was then running the National Science Foundation Network Program, for believing in me and the project team to get the NSFNet to work. Another dozen of years or so forward, the world had started to accept the internet for several years. The term became a household name. The High Performance Wireless Research and Education Network had come into existence. Looking at HPN from today, over the last more than 20 years, many of its accomplishments were in the context of first responders, and in particular firefighters. But more than that, for me, our work with Native Americans was what I perceived as being particularly successful. This included connecting Native Americans starting in 2000, then educating them to build networks on their own, and then via their tribal digital village network, reaching a point where they actually helped HPN with connectivity via their TDVNet mountaintop nodes. Especially gratifying was when in late 2000 HPN enabled a learning center director to move away from dial-up. Now she was able to remove an internet access as 30 minutes per person sign for the young learners. Then she saw school grades significantly improve. On a more somber note, we celebrate the achievements and the positive societal impact that the internet provided across the decades past. But like many other people, I'm concerned that there is still no legal and ethics framework around its use. Everyone basically has equal rights for distributing their views, with the recipients often unskilled to separate out credible information, who are unable to recursively see causes behind symptoms in what they think they learn. It will likely be a curious ride for some time to come.
Hans Werner, thank you very much indeed for your very complex sounding but very work. Congratulations on your achievement. Staying in the United States, our penultimate inductee made significant contributions to the usability of the internet by inventing algorithms that increase its speed. He then chronicled these concepts in 2004 field-defining textbook Network Algorithms and Interdisciplinary Approach to Designing Fast Networked Devices. Thank you, Professor George Varghese, for your contributions to the industry.
I'm humbled and thankful to be inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame for something called network algorithmics. I'd like to briefly explain what this phrase means, but first how I came to work on it. My journey started at a company called DEC, which was building a wire speed router. Hugh Wilkinson was implementing the longest matching prefix algorithm using a data structure called a trie. I noticed that replacing all one-way branches in the trie with a text string greatly reduced memory. After working at DEC, my Christianity, which I grew up with, became a greater reality, and I decided I had a calling as a professor. After completing a PhD at MIT, I came to Washington University determined to work on self-stabilizing protocols. But a series of incidents out of my control, which I hope were arranged by the grace of God, turned me towards speeding up the internet. First, I heard the internet was considering replacing the longest matching algorithm in IP with MPLS, but I saw that tries could be speeded up by going multiple bits at a time. Second, Fred Baker at Cisco came to visit me and told me of a problem with backups that required a new form of scheduling at routers. Third, Butler Lamson visited and said that one had to choose in those days between security and performance because firewalls were so slow. This motivated me to work with a wonderful group of students on algorithms like multi-bit tries, deficit round robin, and algorithms for fast packet classification, which are still being used today. I realized that compared to pure algorithms, which I love, there were different rules operating to make wire speed algorithms. This led me to collect together the principles, rules, and models in a book called Network Algorithmics, which describes an interdisciplinary approach combining algorithms, hardware design, and operating systems to speed up the internet. By the time I moved to UCSD, router vendors knew how to build basic wire speed routers. So I turned to worrying about how to build measurement and security at high speeds. With another wonderful group of students, we began to work on randomized algorithms for measurement, which used very little memory, that culminated in a wire speed algorithm to detect worms. And this showed us that seemingly impossible things could be done at wire speed. Now that I'm at UCLA, I work with my colleagues and students no longer on making the internet fast, but we worry about making the internet more reliable, building tools to avoid internet outages, especially for things like router and DNS configurations. I'd like to end by thanking a number of people. First on the list is Jesus, from whom I learned that life is a matter of gift and grace, even awards like this. I would like to thank the people who believed in me on the way, including my mother, my advisors, Arun Kumar Chu, Lynch, department chairs, Turner, Pathuri, Gurla, senior researchers, Shankar, McKeon, industry bosses, Edsel, Kirby, Ball, and theoretical collaborators, Suri Mitsumaker, and of course, my dear wife, Aju, and my children, Andrew and Tim. I've also been blessed with a wonderful group of students, too numerous to enumerate, with whom I have adventured in the field of network algorithmics. Thank you very much again.
From speed to reliability. Many thanks, George, and congratulations on your achievements. And finally, our last inductee, also from the United States, has helped lead the expansion of the internet in the American West and played an early and important role in the development of the internet's identity and trust layers. We are privileged to present the award to Mr. Kenneth J. Klingenstein.
While I'm receiving an award of appreciation, for which I'm humbled, I feel I should be sending my appreciation for the set of activities I've been gifted to participate in, the remarkable people I've had the privilege to work with, the opportunities to leave footprints on the path. First, a bow of gratitude to my employers during this ride, the University of Colorado, for being in a special place that helped internet invention happen, and Internet 2 for being in a special time with a special community that both made the green fields and then the paths through them. My gratefulness for R.L. Bob Morgan. In substance and style, it all began and still draws its inspiration with him. And to my family, for their permission for me to take this path, their insights, their companionship. I'd also like to recognize the succession of leaders within Internet 2 who have allowed and often encouraged the invention of infrastructure out of chaos. My appreciation to NSF, a shout out to Kevin Thompson and Alan Platecki. Their imprimatur, as much as their funding, allowed it to happen. My deepest respect to the usual suspects in the R&E IT community for our excellent adventure together. All those Keiths, Anns, Ingrids, Michaels, Scotts, Leifs, Nicoles, Steves, Kevins, Marys, and legions more. It is not that this community has the best and the brightest, though it may, but as importantly, that it has the best problems, not the least of which is to connect with each other at network levels, at trust and identity levels, and at human levels. And finally, a word of gratitude for those already in the Hall of Fame, on whose shoulders I stand. I think we all share several common bonds: the desires to work in green fields, the sense that the awesome power of the technologies we are working with calls on us to be good stewards, and an occasional sigh that our visions had unexpected turns as they became realities. I'm honored to be among you and grateful for the ride. Thank you.
Kenneth, thank you, and we are honored to induct you into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations. So very many congratulations to all of our inductees. I think you will agree that they represent an amazing breadth and scope of internet innovation. We've heard some amazing and inspiring stories that have made the internet what it is for all of us. And this concludes our ceremony today. We are working hard behind the scenes to package up the awards themselves so that they don't break en route. Whilst we get to stay at home to do that, the awards must travel so that we will make sure that they travel well. Thank you to everyone viewing the live stream, and of course to all of our 2021 Internet Hall of Fame inductees. It has been a huge privilege once again to host this ceremony and to play a small part in recognizing the truly incredible people behind the internet. I would like to thank you all very much indeed for joining and wishing you well. Thank you.